Okay, today we're reviewing box plot, which you guys may have known as box and whiskers. So you should have a foldable. You cut the paper in half, and then you fold it to where you have the tabs that shows like this. What is the box plot, creating box plots, and comparing box plots. Okay, go ahead and pause your video. Go ahead and fold, cut, and then you can put one staple at the very top. Make sure the staple does not cover the words. Okay, the first starting off with what is a box plot? Box plots is used to show the spread and variability of a set of data. A box plot divides the data into 4 parts using the 5 data summaries shown below. If you need to copy this, which you actually do need to copy it, go ahead again and pause the video, and so you can write this down, and then I will move on. So let's go ahead and talk about the parts of the box plot. So we're going to start off just by labeling the parts. We used to call this box and whiskers, but now it's just called box plot. But if you think of it as box and whiskers, the lines here are whiskers, and then we have our box. So let's go ahead and start with labeling our whiskers. This would be your minimum value. I'll just write minimum. And the other end is your maximum. Here in the middle, we have our center, which is also known as our median. It's very important that you use the proper vocabulary when you're discussing the box plot so you know exactly what to do. So the ends of our box is the median of the lower half and the median of the upper half. But that median of the lower half, we call that first quartile. Or we call that lower quartile. And then the median of the upper half is our third quartile, which is also known as our upper quartile. If I need to find my interquartile range, the reason why we use the vocabulary of quartile because it's asking you for your IQR, which is a range of your quartiles. You're going to take your third quartile and subtract your first quartile. But if the question just asks for the range, I'm going to use my minimum and maximum for my range, for my regular range. But if it's asking for your interquartile range, you're just looking at the box. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some examples. I will do the first one for you, and then you should complete the second and third, and I will just show you the answers. But I will briefly show you the answers. Okay, so first we're going to make sure that we label our number line, and it must be in a sequential order. If I'm counting by 2s, I must always count by 2. I cannot jump around. So I'm going to start from 4 and label to the other parts. So my lowest number is 5, so I'll put a dot above my number line for 5. And my upper is 22, and I put a dot above 22. And then those would represent my whiskers. So now I want to find my middle number. So if I count in the numbers in the middle, it comes in between 15 and 15, which makes my median 15. It matters that I count what numbers are in the middle so I can know which one is my lower half and what is my upper half. So 15, I'm going to put a dot here and a line. And then I'll find my middle number for the lower half. 1, 2, 3. It's between 8 and 10, which means 9. And then I'll do the same thing here. And it's 19.5. So I'll say that's closer to 20. And then I'll draw my box and my whiskers. And therefore we have a box and whiskers. This is my max. This is my min, my median, first quartile, third quartile. Okay guys, so this is the first one. I want you to go ahead and do the second one by yourself. Please keep in mind when you find your middle, you do not include the median number. Here, again, I didn't include the median number because it was in between 15 and 15. But in example 2, my median number is in between 14. So then I'll just break them off and find the median of the lower and the upper half. Go ahead and do examples 2 and 3 by yourself, and then I'm going to move on to comparing box plots. If you need any help, you have Ms. Starling here and Mr. Merchant, and they'll be welcome to help you. Please make sure you complete both examples 2 and 3. Okay, going on to example 4. It says the box plots below represents the temperatures on the day of the Boston Marathon and the New York City Marathon from 2000 to 2013. Use the box plots to answer the questions below. I can't speak, sorry. Okay, so if I look at that, it says, A says, compare the minimum, maximum, and median of the two box plots. So look at New York City and Boston. Notice that the number line is the same for both piece information. So Boston and New York City, they have the same minimum. So the minimum, and I'll just write the word same. Okay? And they also have the same median. Also same. But what about the max? For the max, we can see that Boston is significantly higher than New York City. Where I would say that Boston temp is around 87 degrees. New York City looks like it's around 69 degrees. Also might say that this Boston 87 degrees was probably an outlier. From 2000 to 2013, we can see Boston is typically a cold season because most of their data is in between 50 and 60 degrees. And then you have this 187 degrees. So that's an outlier. Versus New York City has 50 to about 63 or 64 degrees in their main temperature usage. Okay, so which city had the greater range? When I'm looking at my range, I have my max minus my minimum. So those two whiskers is what I take apart. And therefore, Boston has the greatest range. But compare the spread of the interquartile range. And if I compare the spread of the interquartile range, I would say that NYC had greater IQR. They had a greater interquartile range. Basically, I would say that if I look at New York City, I would expect New York City to be typically warmer than Boston. Okay, as I can see the range for New York City, where there is like in between 50 to 63 degrees versus Boston range between 50 and 60. So therefore, New York City has a greater range of the interquartile, not including the outliers that you might see of the really cold days and the really warm days. All right, so this is Box and Whiskers. Go ahead and glue this in your notebook. You have another page of work to do, and all you're doing is comparing Box and Whiskers and dot plots. You're going to use your notes to do so. Please make sure you write your answers in complete sentences. What you do not finish is homework. So try to get as much done in class as possible so you don't have to worry about homework this evening. All right, see you guys later.